Presenting Benny Goodman and his music.
There we are. Hey, everybody. We got one more October tour to go. Hey, Marcia. Hey, Marla. Hey, Luann. Beth. Mona and Sarah. Hey, Jean, Kelly, Jennifer, Martin, Loretta. Hey, everybody. Hey, Karen. It's going to be a quick one that is. I got to rush off to do a tour. Oh, hey, Miles. Yeah, come say hi. Oh, even sitting in the window. A very damp window. You're all wet, Miles.
Benny Goodman, ladies and gentlemen, the man
It's very moist inside of the house in the mornings. When the humidifier is going. I know they're putting in a whole new radiator, I think. A whole new furnace. Hey, Keely. Hey, Dad. Hey, Mary, Becky. Hey, Lori. It is a perfect fall day. I wish I could figure out how to dress. Thanks, Karen. I rather enjoyed doing the boat tour last night myself, the bus tour. That's really the first time I've done that exact bus tour in a long time. But I was, the parts that I hadn't done in years all just came back like that. It was weird. Hey, James. A lot of it I redid, but in a different order during Mystericon. But this was like back to the old classic route. Hey, Denise. Hey, Dana. I just got one more October tour, and then at 5 o'clock I'll be at Afterwards Books downtown. Hey, Kathleen and Kathy. We're hanging out with some horror authors. This will just be kind of a quick one today, because I got to rush over to Rose Hill for one more October tour. And tomorrow, I still got a gig tomorrow, but getting close to the time when I can relax at least a little bit, or at least shift gears. Carol, no new lenses yet. Hey, Katie. They can't start without me, but I don't want people just wandering around saying, is this the right place? I try to make it my business to get there before everybody else. Hey, Uncle Lair. Good to meet you last night. Hey, Heather. There's still 3 or 4 tickets left for Rose Hill. Just a few. Hey, Diane. I was very pleased with how the bus tour went yesterday. It was just all nice and smooth. It felt like I was just the way I used to do it over and over and over again. How much of that came back to me, I was kind of surprised. Also had some reminders of why I wanted to move away from bus tours too, over the course of the whole process. Hey, Elaine. Hey, Emily. Hey, Gwendolyn and Rainy, Maryland. We'll get started here in just a second. Megs, this is an old NBC broadcast from the 1930s. Benny Goodman live at the Congress Hotel. Want to grab a bell? All right, we're gonna have Benny wrap it up right there. So I gotta make this kind of a quick one. I gotta rush off to do the Rose Hill Cemetery tour. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Welcome along, everybody. Hi to everybody that I saw on the tours yesterday. Hi to everybody I'm about to see today, either at Rose Hill in an hour or at Afterwards Books today at 5. And let's see, where did I put all this new stuff? Is it here? No, not there. I set up a whole new thing. Here we go. All right, so a couple of people have asked me about this guy in the last couple of days. There was just an article about him on Block Club Chicago. This is a guy by the name of Peter Schuttler. He was a German immigrant who scraped his way up from nothing to owning an absolute empire in carriage making here in Chicago. Had a place on the west side that was making wagons. He especially did good trade with the Mormons. He outfitted them to get all the way to Salt Lake, and the wagons all made it in one piece, which is fairly unusual. A lot of those Conestoga wagons were gonna break down in Nebraska, which is probably why anybody settled in Nebraska rather than getting the rest of the way to Colorado. So, most famously, the reason he got written up lately is Block Club just did an article about his old haunted house that stood on Aberdeen Street back in the old days. There's a great story about it saying that he bought the land from a guy who saw him looking like a slob walking in saying, "I want to buy that land." And the guy just quoted him an absurdly high price of $11,000. And a few hours later, Schuttler came in with $11,000 in $1 bills to give the guy, just kind of out of spite. There was also a rumor that he wallpapered one of the walls with $1 bills. So here's the thing, he died of blood poisoning before it was quite completed. He had moved in, but it wasn't quite completed yet. Thereafter, his wife lived there, but she was suffering from insanity and confined to the tower. Just kind of lived like an invalid for several years until her own death in 1888, over about 20 years later. Now, thereafter, eventually, the house, they just had a lot of trouble selling. Eventually, it became a stable for horses. It's called the Palace Stable, and inspired a lot of ghost stories around the neighborhood. Some people said it was haunted by Mr. Schuttler or Mr. and Mrs. Schuttler, and later still it was said to be haunted by the ghost of some eccentric old man that nobody really knew anything about. So the haunting stories continued long after the history behind it was forgotten. A lot of this was just stuff kids told around the neighborhood. So a lot of these stories, and in fact, most of the stories about him paying for stuff in $1 bills, really go back to this one article in the Chicago Daily Inter-Ocean's Pull-Out magazine from 1913, around the time the house was torn down. Now, the trick with this is these are some really evocative stories, and there are other articles that mention that it was a famously haunted house in the neighborhood, but quite a bit of this stuff, like the paying for things in $1 bills, come from this. And this is a Sunday Pull-Out magazine. Even in the most reputable papers, a 1913 Sunday Pull-Out magazine was going to look very much like the Weekly World News. So never believe a word you get from a Sunday Pull-Out magazine, or at least take it with several grains of salt. That's where quite a lot of these stories come from, but there were stories about a curse, and it's certainly true that an awful lot of his children and grandchildren ended up dying by suicide. One of them also married Wilhelmina Anheuser, whose own sister married Mr. Bush. So financially, the family did all right. But there seems to have been, you could call it a curse or you could just call it the threat of hereditary mental illness. It wasn't really that well documented. I've been trying to find more data about it, at least trying to back up that great story about the $1 bills. However, I've never been able to back up more of this. I do occasionally talk about Mr. Schuttler. The family plot is right on the second Rose Hill Cemetery route, so since I've been asked about it enough, I'll probably have to bring it in today. So, yeah, whether there was a riot or not, there was a police chief that told the Inter-Ocean that in 1899 there was practically a riot from people coming around looking for the ghosts. It does not seem to have been reported in 1899. So once again, you got to remember that this is a Sunday Pull-Out magazine. A great story, and there are enough other things backing up the fact that it was said to be a haunted house. My theory has always been that this was an old abandoned house, an old abandoned mansion, right by the West Side ballpark. So people would be coming drunk out of the Cubs games and see this old falling apart mansion. The ghost stories almost write themselves. So, all right, everybody. That's just kind of a quick one because I have got to make my way out to Rose Hill Cemetery for the tour today. There are, in fact, still a few tickets left for Rose Hill, just a few. This is a little bit out of date now. Rose Hill today. We will be doing Graceland Cemetery the next 2 Saturdays. Next Saturday is going to be Graceland, the True Crime Edition. And then the week after that is the Graceland Supersize Edition, which is going to be twice as long as the regular tours. So, and also November 2nd, by tradition, the Thursday after Halloween, I will be blowing off steam by doing Mysterious Chicago After Hours. Those are the virtual stories that I don't normally tell on the walking tours, because they're not really age appropriate. Consider yourself warned. But all right, everybody, thank you very much for joining me. I am Adam for Mysterious Chicago Tours, letting everybody know that it is important this Halloween weekend to stay safe and stay strong, but most of all, of course, stay spooky, everybody. Have a great day. Sorry for such a short one.